And we're live. How we doing, everybody? It's Wardy here, and we're back at it for our latest New York Mets post-game show presented by Prize Picks and SeatGeek. Tonight, the Mets decided, you know what? We just dropped our latest series there to the Atlanta Braves. Still took the season series, and now let's go ahead and take game one here to kick things off against the Nats. The Mets went home run hitting against this Nationals team as they go on to win by a final score of 4-1. A start for Robert Stock, where I told you guys, you know what, maybe we jumped ahead of ourselves and got too far ahead thinking we should put some stock in his stock, as he was masterful. His first outing as a New York Met went 5 shutty for the best outing in his career. His second outing, he allows 8+ earned runs, which is no bueno. Now tonight shows exactly the value that he brings to the New York Mets, that at absolute minimum could very well be a nice long relief option. We'll get into Stock, where he prevailed and where exactly the New York Mets prevailed in this matchup against the Nationals this evening. I know you guys might be wondering, Wardy, where were you yesterday? I apologize, everybody. I was supposed to be here yesterday for post-game wrap-up after the Mets obviously lost the series finale to the Braves. I was not able to be here in time the way that I wanted to, so I apologize for that. And when I say yesterday, I mean the day prior. I know the Mets had their off day yesterday. I was there for game 2 of the matchup there between the Mets and the Braves, in which the Mets, of course, lost that game, and the series finale. As you guys can tell at this juncture in the season as well, if there are clunkers, if there are games where not much happens at all for the New York Mets, we're going to really turn the focus more so as to what is happening on the news front regarding the club or regarding individual player performances, because as we all know, as much as I would love to say you should put stock into the season for the New York Mets this year, there's enough reasons to suggest exactly why you shouldn't, with the Mets team still currently 54-69. The fact that the Mets are a worse team than the Washington Nationals this year should tell you all you need to know for a Nationals team that was sellers at the deadline to a degree at 60-64. So nonetheless, we're going to break down this Mets victory, what I loved most about it from the Mets fan point of view, as well as to getting into all the key details, not only regarding the club tonight, but ultimately what is surrounding them as of late when we talk about the future of Juan Luis Robert, Francisco Lindor, Jared Young, Kodai Senga looking like, oh my God, Devin Williams, get ready for the 8th inning, buddy, because Kodai Senga's looking like the best thing since sliced bread as a closer. And to make matters even better, in case you guys and gals don't know, Edwin Diaz, the man who's no longer the Mets closer, has been blowing saves left, right, and center so bad for the LA Dodgers. If you put him side by side with his 2019 self, you would say, oh my God, it's the same exact individual. I guess it's fitting. Edwin's first year on a new team, and he's absolute dog water, just like he was for the New York Mets in every save and non-save situation imaginable in the 2019 season. I digress. Let's go ahead. Let's deep dive at everybody. You guys and gals know the drill by now. Spam those W's on your way, and that's what your guy Wardy loves to see. As Michael perfectly highlights in the show, he's right. The Mets are, in fact, 7-3 over their past 10 games. Listen, I told you guys, there's a great reality that the Mets find themselves more in the 500, if not above 500 category from post-trade deadline on, but it also is not changing the fact that the Mets are still not in a position to win this year, unfortunately. When I say to win, I mean to actually, I don't know, get to 500, let alone somehow, some way make a playoff push. I'm not going to get excited. I'm just going to focus on the individual player performances as they're happening and appreciate when the Mets are actually playing competent baseball. To their credit, they have been doing a lot more as of late since selling off everyone, their mother in the bullpen, than prior to doing so, funny enough. So everybody, as you guys and gals know, let's let it rip and let's get into it. And let's let it rip, as we always know, with the one, the only, the WardyNYM, yes, you guessed it, post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. Shout out to my guys Greg and Jordan, as always, with the WardyNYM post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it's here to stay, baby. Thank you guys and gals for chiming in live on a replay. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way in for all things New York Mets, all in season, off season, and postseason long. But playoffs? What do you mean playoffs? We're not here to talk about playoffs. I understand that. But shout out to all my amazing members. Rebecca, we got all things Mets talk. Alvin, how are you? Nick, the Mets Fanatic 2.0. What up, Wardy? Happy we're getting entertaining ball. I agree, my friend. Thank you so much for chiming in. G Money, Alan, Mario, great member going up the list here. We got Lawnmeyer in the chat. How we doing? We got Mike O'Brien. How are you? We got Michael. We got our guy. Let's see here. Bob, how are you? We got G Money. We got Malvar, great friend here on the platform and member. We got Michael Stroh, great member on the platform. We got Owen. How you doing? Scary finish almost. I know, a little sweaty towards the end, but nonetheless, the Mets got themselves a dub today, and that's the important thing for those that care at this point in the season. I know a lot of you guys don't really care about Mets wins or losses right now, and that's why we're going to continue to do the best that we possibly can together, and that is to break down what you guys need to know regarding the club, because now that we're in no man's land kind of this year, we have been all year, but now that we're really in no man's land, like I said, these post-game shows are not going to be as traditional as they were. I can't even say in the first half because, transparently, I don't think we've had traditional post-game shows on this platform since literally, like, probably the summer of 2024. It has been such, or the first half of 2025, I guess. Like, it's not the fact that we can't have solid post-game shows regardless of winning or losing. It's more so the fact that with the Mets being a bottom team in baseball for a calendar year straight from June of last year to continuing this year, really up until as of late, it's been so frustrating and disheartening to try to come out with a competent product to not only entertain you guys, but also be relatable with everyone when I'm at the point where I just want to pull my hair out so much and I'm just so numb to the continued losing and the continued inconsistencies that have plagued this club for more often than not since I've been covering them, going back to the beginning of Steve Cohen as club owner. I know it's happened well before then, but since I've been covering them at least, and more than just I'm a fan type of fashion, if you will. Having said that, though, I do hope that as we continue on this season in the final month and a half, as well as, God willing, sometime next year, should there be a season pending the lockout, that we can actually have competent baseball more often than not, where, again, you're not going to win every single night. I understand how this goes. I completely respect and understand that in an ebbs and flow of a 162, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, and you're going to be all over the place. But there's a difference between being all over the place and just being consistently bad, the way that the Mets were for a calendar year straight. And covering every single day of that was nothing short of literal hell from a fan point of view. And same way that you guys felt like you were going through hell from a fan point of view, enduring that. And of course, finding yourself in the same exact emotions that I am, but at least you guys have the luxury of turning the game off at the end and not having to worry about it. My night's just getting started typically when the Mets game is over. So nonetheless, shout out to you. We got a lot of people hyped up in the chat right now. I'm seeing live at a replay. So thank you guys kindly for being here. It really does mean a lot, especially in what's been nothing short of a frustrating season. Now, before we deep dive this ball game and get into all the key details, let's, as always, shout out our amazing sponsor, that being Prize Picks, everybody, because listen, the Mets haven't stepped up consistently this year. They did tonight on Friday Night Blackout Night. We'll take that, obviously, but every single night, Prize Picks is there for you as the best app of the game for daily projections and lineups. And now that they're officially live in the state of New York, look no further, everybody. If you guys would like to build an MLB-related play, more or less on hits, strikeouts, total bases, maybe an NFL-related play, you want to do more or less on total passing yards, more or less on total touchdowns, maybe you want to do a NBA-related play, more or less on total, obviously, points, more or less on threes, whatever you guys want to do for your sports plays, Prize Picks is there for you. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our promo code HMA, link down below, because when you play Prize Picks, use the promo code and use $5 and win, you get $150 after the fact. Again, download the Prize Picks app today. Use the promo code HMA, play $5 and win, and you automatically get $150. Shout out to Prize Picks. It's going to be right, and apologies in advance if we hop back to the main slide, everybody, and my intro is playing by accident. So if you have a jump scare, that is why. I'm giving you a fair warning. Let's go. All right, at least I warned you. I've been doing it for years, but at least I warned. I think I've done that more consistently as like an unintentional thing on the platform, my 5+ years of covering this club more than anything else, which is pretty funny. But nonetheless, Broken Jester, great member of 16 months. Finally, a fun time. Senga closing feels right. Kodai Senga closing does feel right. And I'm going to begin and open up our discussion this evening by asking each and every one of you watching live at a replay, Kodai Senga, yay or nay, as the Mets closer? Because according to Mets interim manager, Mr. Andy Green, speaking to media postgame today, he stated the following: yes, Kodai Senga is absolutely going to continue to get high leverage opportunities in this Mets bullpen. Guys, if Kodai Senga continues to look the way that he's looking right now, Devin Williams can find his derriere in the 8th spot once he's back, if he's back at all this year, and let's just move forward, okay? Kodai has always had the stuff to be a perfect makeup as a one-inning pitcher, as long as he can have the mentality for it. He did state with media, as we know, over the past couple weeks, and if I was a part of that media scrum, I would have loved to ask Kodai's interpreter a question for Kodai to answer, because he does give very honest answers, which I appreciate there with people on the beat or people like myself doing on-field reporting. And Kodai has been very blunt in saying how, he would love to be in the Mets rotation, but he knows that all the Mets need to do is to just turn in and say, hey, buddy, look at the numbers here. You're garbage. You're pond scum. You're not good. And Kodai's like, oh, shit, you're right. I'm not good. All right, well, if I'm not good there, I'm not good as a multi-inning reliever because it's basically like a shortened start. Should I be good in a one-inning outing? You should. You throw 97 to 100. You're throwing absolute gas. You're getting people to finally swing and miss on your ghost fork. A pitch that, as soon as you came back from injury last year, had no ability to get that swing and miss on. It was night and day. And pre-injury Kodai Senga first half 2025, post-injury Kodai Senga post-2025, and how night and day of a pitcher he became because he was unable to set up the ghost fork with the four-seam fastball. He was unable to touch the high 90s consistently. And then everyone knows the ghost fork is going to come. They know it's going to be out of the zone. But by God, when you get 97 or remind you 100 dotted at you, and then you go the ghost fork down and away, it's a hard thing to deal with. Okay, so Kodai having that velocity, having that confidence in his multi-pitch mix with one of the best swing and miss pitches in the game when it's right. And I say when it's right because we got to go all the way back to 2023. In 2023, the ghost fork had more swings and misses on it than any other pitch in Major League Baseball. It was literally a sight to behold. But fast forward 3 years later, just like how Luis Robert was an MVP caliber player 3 years ago, things have changed a lot since then. And Kodai is showing his value in a limited role, and now let's go ahead and see if that can continue. Because knowing the Mets have Kodai under contract next year, knowing that there is still a leash for him to be a part of this club, as long as there's a mutual understanding and he is more accepting of this role and saying, you know what, I actually like this role. I'm having success in this role. I'm okay staying here. And they can both just see eye to eye on this and have a nice run down the stretch here, then the Mets have their closer for 2027, okay? As talented as Devin Williams is, I don't want to have to bank on Devin Williams next season. And I know it's a crazy thought. So, Wardy, you want to bank on Kodai Senga to be your closer. Make it make sense. You'd rather bank on Kodai Senga, who's been inconsistent above all, over Devin Williams, who's a two-time National League Reliever of the Year award winner. And my response to that is yes, because again, Kodai's stuff is so perfect for literally just one inning. Just keep him at one inning. Be stubborn with it. Keep him at one inning. I'm not saying he's going to be perfect every time. Of course, he's going to get rocked every now and then. And when he gets rocked, we'll overreact and say, oh, that's why you shouldn't have Kodai Senga as closer. But already, in Kodai Senga's first two outings as a closer option for the New York Mets, he has prevailed significantly. So I really want to lead the discussion today by first talking about that, because that's a real important piece for the Mets bullpen puzzle next year. Think about it. If the Mets bullpen next season is Kodai Senga as your closer, Devin Williams as your setup man, then you're already worried less about, oh my God, we lost Luke Weaver. I like Luke. I would love for the Mets to trade for Luke at next year's deadline, because we know sure as hell the Pirates probably aren't going to be a better buyer. Granted, the Mets might not even be a buyer next deadline. Who the hell knows, even if there's a season. But let's say, hypothetically, the Mets are a contending team by next season's deadline, whatever that is, and a team, for example, like the, I don't know, you did miss the jingle, Joan. I'm sorry, brother. A team like the Pirates are looking like sellers next year. Luke Weaver, even with the Mets eating $6 million of his money owed to him in 2027, is a guy who has embraced New York, and I'm sure would be happy to come back to New York if he is traded back to the Mets. So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is nice knowing that already the Mets have kind of figured out a way where if Devin Williams can just not be shaking in his boots as an eighth inning option for the Mets, why not just kind of seesaw between Devin and Kodai in the eighth and ninth inning, and whichever option looks more consistent in that respective role, keep them there and then move forward, okay? That's what you got to do. I think it makes more than enough logical sense. So Mets fans, watching live on a replay, again, the following question is for you. Would you like to see Kodai Senga as the closer continued? And should Senga continue to succeed the way that he has in these early outings, would you be for or against Kodai staying the closer over someone like Devin Williams, where even upon returning from injury, Devin Williams moves to the 8th inning setup role? Let me know your thoughts, because that could be dynamic. You know what I see with something like that, if it really works? We're talking everything clicking, okay? That has the potential, not the certainty, but the potential to have the most success that the Mets can have from an 8th to a 9th inning since Adam Ottavino to Edwin Diaz in 2022. And that was a great 1-2 punch the Mets had, man. A fantastic 1-2 punch. I think the Mets could have something of similar ilk if you have both Devin and Kodai firing on all cylinders here. And here's the thing. I'm not even opposed to Kodai as your 8th inning guy. Like I said, I think it's kind of, let them battle it out once Devin's back. Give them both closer opportunities, and whoever kind of looks more consistent in those opportunities, bear that in mind as you carry that into then the 2027 season, whatever that's going to be. Exactly. Mark beautifully said in the chat, Senga has closer stuff. The question is, does he have the guts to be a closer? That's always been the question. It's been about the mental fortitude of someone like Kodai, and obviously physical health above everything else. But I 100% agree with what you're saying. Now, with that being said, everybody, the Mets did win a ball game today, so I think it's fitting that we talk about this ball game a little bit, okay? Because in the line for the New York Mets, the Mets had A.J. Ewing and left, Lindor at short, Bichette at the hot corner, Robert in center, Benjamin right, Alvey at DH, Simeon at second base, Mr. Jared Young, oh, Canada, baby, at first base that we have a lot to say about in a couple minutes, and Terens at catcher. And yes, Tokyo Drift is no longer Kodai Senga's entrance for being a pitcher, because it was Tokyo Drift as a starter, but now as a closer, which I think is honestly pretty sick. If I'm not mistaken, the closer spot now is going to be Beat It by Michael Jackson is the walkout for Kodai Senga. Pretty gas, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know if Kodai saw the movie Michael this summer, and that was like his, wow moment to Michael Jackson being a thing, or he's always been a Michael Jackson guy. Whatever the case might be, I love it, okay? Hell yeah. I will get amped the hell up on a Friday night at Citi Field. Fireworks night, mind you. Black jersey night. Kodai Senga's coming in with Beat It because he's going to beat your ass down. He got no shot, baby. 97 to 100 dotted. Ghost fork down and away. See ya? Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and beat it, Kodai. Beat those damn Nationals, and that's what he did tonight for the New York Mets. And again, I'm like 90% certain it's Beat It, but let me see. I want to make sure it's the right song here. Let me double check. Because I know that S&Y posted it earlier on X, so I'm just taking a peek here. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, it is Beat It by Michael Jackson. And here's Kodai walking out to it. They did the light show and everything. I'm just not going to play it because I'm going to probably get copyrighted for it, but you guys know what I'm saying. Shout out Kodai, okay? Out with the old, in with the new, okay? I love it. I'm really rocking with it. All right. Nonetheless, let's break it down, baby. Also, the Mets faced former friend, now foe, Max Kranick today. They did solid against him. Max, rooting for you, buddy. I hope you don't do well against the Mets when we play, obviously, like today. But I hope you really get yourself figured out this year, because I know that you've been a little up-down to begin the year for the Nationals as first handful of outings. Max Kranick, friend of the platform, entire Mets fan, grew up in Scranton, PA, if I'm not mistaken, and from one Mets fan who lives in PA to another, my friend, I wish you well. Max would love to be a New York Met right now, I'm sure, if the opportunity was present. Unfortunately for him, dealing with a flexor strain issue this past year with injury, really threw a wrench in his ability to come back to the New York Mets, at least if the Mets would prioritize him. That's why he's no longer on the club. Back into it. C.J. Abrams strikes out swinging against Robert Stock, the young 36-year-old right-hander trying to have a bounce-back outing after getting his tits absolutely lit up the last time he was out there for the New York Mets, unfortunately. But after the strikeout on C.J. Abrams, who is officially moving more now to second base instead of shortstop, finally the Nationals realized that, you know what, C.J., you are kind of really the worst defensive shortstop in Major League Baseball. It was Bo Bichette last year, but now you, my friend, are really taking the cake this season. Let's go ahead and move you more to second base, and that is what they're going to do. However, they didn't do it today. They kept him at short, so expect that maybe later on in the series or in the coming days. Nonetheless, Ortiz grounds out. Brady House gets on with a single. So does Mr. Dalen Lyle, but that's okay because Keeper Ruiz lines out to Luis Robert in center right there. And that does it there for a clean inning of work for Robert Stock. We had to the bottom of the first. 1, 2, 3. From AJ to Lindor to Bo, a whole lot of nothing, unfortunately. We head to the second. From Tenna to Nunez to Vivas, a whole lot of nothing. We head to the bottom of the second. From Robert to Benj. Then we get Ali, a 2-out walk. We'll take that, but a Semien line out, and that does it. We head to the third. A CJ Abram 1-out walk. Then we would see Ortiz reach on a fielder's choice, and then we would see the error by Francisco Lindor, who cannot go a single week without having one error that would ultimately cost the New York Mets. Not only was that error frustrating, but it allows Brady House then to rip himself an RBI knock, and just like that, we see the Mets are down 1-0. So Robert Stock, not the guy to be blaming here. Francisco Lindor, another day, another error at shortstop. I guess it really begs the question, should Lindor continue to perform? So I don't know what the right terminology would be here. You could maybe, is it haphazardly? Is it underwhelming? Is it just, mediocre for what you're investing? Certainly not living up to the ROI from a defensive standpoint for Lindor now, who still has 5 years left on his contract. Francisco told the Post how much he wants to be here and how much he doesn't intend on going anywhere. Yes, Francisco, I would say the same thing on a $341 million contract. It's not like you have much dictation here, my friend, especially the fact that you have like a pretty much modified, if not full, no trade clause. Now, regardless, Lindor still struggling defensively. I want to know from you Mets fans, should this continue with Francisco? Let's say the Mets have like 40 or so games left this season, right? Let's say in the next 40 games that the Mets play to round out the year, Francisco Lindor records another 5 to 8 errors in that span. If Francisco Lindor records 5 to 8 errors in the next 40 games for the New York Mets, is that enough for you to suggest, okay, maybe the Mets should actually consider moving Lindor to second base next season and seeing how much of a leash or runway out of camp would they give a Jefferson Rojas, who looks like he's going to profile better as a third base option, but is someone that the Mets could consider. Sammy Stafora, is he going to be knocking on the door by then? Mitch Voigt, how close is he going to be to the big league level by the inception of next season, whenever that may be in? That's a question that I have, because Lindor has been absolute dog water defensively. And I say dog water not like he's been terrible every single play, but for his standards and for Francisco Lindor, who is typically in the 90th to 100th percentile in outs above average as a shortstop and has been for the past, 8 seasons in Major League Baseball, he's fallen off a cliff this year. And a lot of it has to do with the inconsistencies because of injuries, and I understand that. But at the same time, he has not had his head there the way that the Mets need him to. So, as someone who loves Lindor and doesn't want to see him go, I just want to see him succeed. And I do wonder how much more is that going to be at shortstop for this Mets team before realizing, let's take him out of the most strenuous role on the club, not named catcher or center fielder, and let's take him out of short, put him into a less strenuous position at second base next season. Can Marcus Semien DFA his ass or just keep him on the bench? Do what you got to do, because he's a non-factor. He should not even be at all a thought process behind how the Mets build this roster next year. And if it is, that's a further failure from front office onward. I want to know how you guys feel about that regarding Francisco Lindor. As we continue, Mets are down 1-0. And after they are down 1-0, we go on to see Dalen Lyle grounds into the force out, and then Keeper Ruiz with the pop out. So a 1-0 Nationals lead, but thankfully it would not sustain. Stop playing guys where they don't belong. I agree with you. That's one thing the Mets have been doing consistently for a number of years, as have the Yankees and some of these other big market teams, which has led to their lack of fundamental success. Luis Torrens gets on with a 1-out knock that we saw. Good at bat by Louis, and then back-to-back outs from AJ to Lindor does it for a scoreless inning for the Nats. In the fourth, Jose Tenna did get on with a leadoff walk, but give credit where credit's due. The final full inning of work for Robert Stock today, and he gets the job done. 1, 2, 3 from Nunez to Vivas to Yan. We head to the bottom of the fourth, everybody, where Bichette, Robert, Benj are all out. Bichette especially got robbed. Really nice catch here, nice little dive by Dalen Lyle, and then Ben just got outmatched as he struck out. We then head to the fifth inning. We're in the fifth, everybody. CJ Abrams is going ahead with a leadoff walk. Ortiz then would be called out on strikes, but CJ steals his 24th bag of the year. Brady House then would get on with the hit by pitch, and then Nate Lavender, Lav Dog, comes in. All reliable, and I'm calling Lavender all reliable already. I know it's crazy. Am I crazy for saying that, guys? I'm crazy. Listen, out with the old, in with the new. How fitting is it that the Mets have essentially replaced Brooks Raley, the former Tampa Bay Rays legend of a reliever, for a short time after coming back from the KBO, where he spent 3 to 5 years there as a starter profile, comes to the States, dominates as a reliever. Mets trade Kashawn Askew for Brooks Raley. Raley goes on to become one of the most consistent relievers in Mets team history. Nate Lavender gets the call. Lavender was in the Rays organization this past year, rehabbing injury, and was returned back to the New York Mets after being a Rule 5 draft pickup just over a year ago, if memory serves me correct. Lavender with the 2024 spring highlights with the little hezzy, looking like nasty Nestor Cortez out there. And now this season, after a handful of outings in Syracuse, he's back, baby. And he's looking like the best version of himself yet. Nate Lavender perfectly filling in the shoes of Brooks Raley as a nice southpaw option in this Mets bullpen. He comes in with 2 on, less than 2, not a mother effing problem. He gets Lyle with the flyout and the Keibert Ruiz flyout for a scoreless inning. We love to see it. Shout out Nate Lavender, who now for the New York Mets so far this season has pitched. And this has been a trend with Mets lefties this year, which is so exciting to say. Same thing with AJ Minter. I think AJ's first 15 innings, he didn't allow a run or so. Nate Lavender, 4 scoreless innings of work as a New York Mets reliever thus far. Wardy, I can't believe it's been 6 months already. Oh, I know. I can't believe we only have 40 games left this year already. If there's been anything that's been a positive about this hellish season, it has went kind of quick for me. Last year felt like it went unbelievably slow. This summer is kind of feeling like it's going pretty quick. Not that I want summer to go quick, but I want mediocre baseball to go fast. Malvar, great member. Happy to. We want an 8 Lavender jersey giveaway. That's funny. If he continues, we're going to have to do it if he continues this pace, obviously. In the bottom of the 5th inning, the Mets go down 1-2-3 offensively. In the 6th inning, we see Jonathan Pintaro come in and gives up a 1-out walk to Nasim Nunez, a 1-out hit to Mr. Yorbit Vivas, and then Jacob Young with the double play, baby, to end the inning. Love to see it. We head to the bottom of the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, Francisco Lindor, 2 outs after AJ and Trentz couldn't do anything. Lefty to righty. It's against the Southpaw Alvarez for the Mets today. It's a slider middle. You sorry SOB. This schmuck really thought throwing middle meatball 83 miles per hour was going to be missed by Francisco Lindor, who's finding his swing. Yeah, good luck. Francisco Lindor tears the literal cover off of this baseball. 110 miles per hour, 410 feet or so, and that's that. His 12th home run of the year. The New York Mets have it 1-1. And now, everybody, Francisco Lindor's OPS is at 769. He's going to finish this year with a 255 to 260 average and an 800 or so OPS. Guaranteed. Lindor is going to finish the year exactly how he typically will be from an offensive standpoint. You can clearly tell that he's finding his swing again, which has been nice. Bichette would strike out, but the wild pitch would then allow him to get to first base. So shout out to the Nats for that one. Robert then gets on with a single, everybody, so he gets on, and then Carson Bench says, let's get the lead, baby. Carson Bench stepping up, runners in scoring position, hell yeah. And we will be doing a minor league game this year. I actually just texted my guy, Dexter Henry. I'm going to be going to a Brooklyn Cyclones game before the season wraps up, and I'm going to try to go to a Rumble Ponies game if there's one kind of more in town, either somewhere that's closer than Bainton for me, or, maybe somewhere that's, I'm trying to think, maybe if the Rumble Ponies are going to be in Scranton again at any point this year to face the AA club for, I'm trying to think, the AA club for the Phillies, or maybe if the Syracuse Mets are in town in the Lehigh Valley again to play the Iron Pigs. They were there not long ago, though, so I have to check. Either way, though, we are intending to go to a minor league game, at least one this year, to cover and get some player interviews on. That'll be a lot of fun. Would do more, but it's easier said than done taking the hike from where I'm at. And, if this Mets season was more noteworthy, then there would be greater incentive. But right now, it's kind of, I'm honestly more intrigued with what's going on with the farm right now than I am the big league club, with certain exceptions to individual player performances. Wardy Dad Cyclones game. We absolutely should do something like that. Actually, we probably will do something along those lines with Fanatics as well, because I have some ideas for sure that I'm looking forward to divulging in with when it comes to Fanatics and stuff like that. So that's going to be fun. As we continue, the 7th inning is here, everybody. And the 7th inning, a 1-2-3 for the New York Mets, from CJ to Ortiz to House. Bottom of the 7th, Jared Young, everybody. Okay, guys. Jared Young is playing so damn good. As long as Young wants to return, the Mets have to bring Jared Young back next season. I mean, give credit where credit's due. David Stearns is bullish on Young heading into the season. I had a level of confidence in Young too, but I wasn't overly encouraged because Jared Young is not a flashy name. He's not someone that's going to really move the needle for you, at least on paper initially, but give credit where credit's due. He really has had a fine season for the New York Mets. Young smacks his 8th home run of the year, 408 feet, 105 miles per hour on a curveball down and in. Yeah, see ya, buddy. By Mr. Jake Bird, the former, I think, reliever of the Washington Nationals. That was, the New York Yankees. That was kind of dumped away after he was initially a big deadline acquisition along with Mr. Duvall a year ago from the Rockies and the Giants, respectively. How crazy how much things can change in a year, right? We know as Mets fans. Nonetheless, Jared Young gives the Mets a 3-1 lead. Terrence gets on with a walk. Lindor gets on with a 2-out walk as Terrence gets in scoring position because of a wild pitch. Another wild pitch. And then Max Kranick comes in, everybody. And Max Kranick, unfortunately, gives up a meatball to Bo Bichette for a single up the middle. That drives in a run, and that makes it 4-1 New York Mets. And Robert would strike out swinging, so Kranick does limit the damage. No runs were charged on him as it was inherited runners. But Kranick and the Nationals are down 3 as we head the 8th. We're in the 8th inning. You know the Nationals are absolutely royally FUCKED'd because Daniel Duarte's on the mound. In case you guys don't know Daniel Duarte, Buddy doesn't give up runs, okay? He doesn't give up runs at all. Where do you think Bo would go? Not sure what you mean by that. This offseason, he's opting in at this rate, okay? That's what it's looking like for Bo, especially with the lockout. I'll be shocked if he's not opting in at this current rate. Nonetheless, Daniel Duarte comes in. Dalen Lyle flies out, Keeper Ruiz flies out, and Dylan Cruz strikes out. Okay, we have the bottom of the 8th. With 2 outs, Marcus Semien smacks his 10th double of the year. We have the 9th. Kodai Senga comes in. He gets the ground out, the fly out, gives up a 2-out knock to Jacob Young, and does, in fact, hit C.J. Abrams when hit by a pitch. But listen, Kodai Senga does not bend. He may bend, however, but he will not break the way that Devin Williams has as of late. He gets the ghost fork for a big strike 3 on Ortiz, and that does it for the ballgame. Mets going to win this one. Final score, 4-1. Malvar with the $5 haul states, I'm for Senga being the closer because I like seeing him smile. I was getting old seeing him have that look on the face like someone stole his girl. Me too, man. It sucked to see Senga sad. I don't appreciate it at all. He's a nice guy. He's a very good guy. Like, I don't have any ill will against Kodai Senga. He's just been garbage for a while. So it's nice to see him in a much limited role looking fantastic. Maya. Yeah, I agree, my guy. I think Emilian Petrie will be the next Jeff McNeil. He's going to be a slap-hitting god at the major league level. Again, guys, I said it in my prospect breakdown as MLB Pipeline officially came out with their new top 30 prospect rankings for the Mets and across Major League Baseball. We broke that down. The Mets scouting MPB star infielder, Mr. Sato, that we got into, and a bit on Luis Roberts' uncertain future with the New York Mets for Mets 2027 plans having been revealed a bit by the Post over the past 24 hours. Check out that video. It was a long-winded one because we had a lot of topics. We got into the latest prospect performances. And Emilian Petrie, everybody, is the highest-ranked prospect the Mets acquired in the Tampa Bay Rays trade for Freddie Peralta, when initially he was the lowest-ranked prospect until they updated their rankings. Why? Petrie has cut his strikeout rate in over half. He went from deviating away from his fantastic high-contact ability and plate approach and years of being in the minor leagues now the past couple of years to going back to that after falling short of that, trying to find power last year when that just is not his game. He gets back to where he needs to be, cuts his strikeout rate in over half. He's striking out literally 10% in the minor leagues. He's batting like 450 or so far for the AA Realm of Ponies. He has looked so effing good. He just had a 3-hit game for the Mets this past day. Emilian Petrie is going to be, I truly do believe that Petrie is going to be the next guy to get the call from the Mets when it comes to infield prospects, like from AA, if not lower. Petrie, Voit has looked awesome. I think Petrie is closer to the major leagues. I really do. I think Emilian Petrie is going to be at the major league level, and I honestly would not be shocked if Petrie works himself to the bigs potentially faster than even Jefferson Rojas. And the reason why I say that is because I think Petrie is a guy that is just going to be so consistent with his bat-to-ball skills that wherever he's going to be able to hit. You know, he's not going to be that guy that's necessarily going to have an 800 OPS, but think of him more in a Jake Mangum type profile where he can be a 300 hitter at the top of your lineup and hitting for a 700 OPS or higher. He has a profile that can further make AJ Ewing and Carson Benj look impressive and do their things, but he, again, might not exemplify as much power as Carson, but he's going to put the ball in play so much. So that's what's exciting about Petrie for sure. And it's just, again, the Mets really just, from a early production standpoint, they slam dunked the deadline with the prospects they acquired. Petrie's looked awesome, obviously. Gary Gill-Hill's looked very impressive his first outing or two. Aiden Smith has looked very good. Billy Amick has looked fantastic, and he's not even a Mets top 30 prospect per MLB pipeline. He has 6 home runs in his first 9 games in AA. Like, what? He's got roughly 30 home runs on the year already. What? Okay, Ryan Clifford, who is what Mets fans are saying with the way that Clifford's fallen off a cliff this year, the way that Amick's going to get to Syracuse sooner rather than later at this rate. I mean, everyone, literally everyone for the most part that the Mets acquired has looked very impressive. But Sammy Stafora, the way that kid has been just an absolute lightning rod, really good friends with AJ Ewing as well, which is another enticing aspect to it. So they play their games very similar, and they're gonna be feeding off of each other so much at the major league level. Like, there's a reality. You got Sammy Stafora, Jefferson Rojas. Yes, Sammy Stafora, Jefferson Rojas, and one of Mitch Voigt or Emilian Petrie could all be in this Mets infield within the next 2 years with AJ Ewing and Carson Bench in the outfield. That's exciting. It's an exciting thought of the Mets having homegrown talents blossom like that. And if they don't blossom here, you use them as strong trade chips to add to a greater area of need elsewhere for the club. So before we get out of here, everybody, I would like to share my final remarks regarding the club and the status of the team. One is Jared Young again. There's been a lot of debates online I've been seeing of Jared Young as of late. Young, as we know, free agent at the end of the season for the New York Mets. A guy who I really think is going to come down to more Young's appetite to want to return than I think anything else. Because Jared Young's going to have himself a market. It won't be crazy, but he's definitely going to have a market, rightfully so. And Jared Young is someone who I don't think the Mets should guarantee to be their first baseman next season. Because as good as Young is, you want to shoot for a higher ceiling in that position, naturally. The Mets have failed miserably in that position for the majority of the season. So I would love Young back. But I think it's going to be more onto, is Jared Young willing to return? Especially maybe not being a guaranteed everyday player for the club, right? If he can get everyday guaranteed playing time, especially maybe a bandbox for a club next year, where it is a more hitter-friendly park, why wouldn't he want to do that if he wants to maximize his value? What matters most to Jared Young is what I want to know. Jared Young's a free agent in 2032? Is he? I'm not complaining if he is. But is he? I could have sworn I thought he was on a 1-year deal with the Mets. But maybe I'm capping. Hold on. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. Because the Mets re-signed Young this past offseason. But maybe I was just more focused on like them tendering him a contract or not. Okay. All right. I'm not. Thank you for calling me out, everybody. All right. Oh, all right. Then I'll shut up. He's not even arbitration eligible until 2028. What am I saying? Lock in, Wardy. Holy shit. Thank you, guys. This is why you guys are great. I appreciate that. So, again, you don't ideally see a 31-year-old first baseman locked up for 5-6 more years. You know, that's not a typical thing unless you're like a Freddie Freeman, for example, just signing your contract with the Dodgers. Okay? But yes, Young is under club control for a long time. So the Mets have nothing to worry about there. So either way, Jared Young's going to be here next season. So I think we've already answered that question. It's not a debate as to if Jared Young should be on this team next year or not. He absolutely should be on this team next year, okay? At minimum, he should be a bench, DH, platoon option. And at maximum, a guy that can play basically every day. Yes, like Brosman, 100%. Yep, 100%. Because Brosman was a late bloomer as well. He didn't even make his major league debut until he got into like his early 30s. So thank you. Thank you for correcting me, everybody. I appreciate it. Now, separate from Jared Young, because I'm an idiot for what I was just saying, let's talk about what I am a bit more locked in on, and that is regarding how this game fared. The New York Mets, again, beat the Nationals today, so let's talk briefly on Robert Stock, his outing, talk a bit on this bullpen, talk the lineup, and get out of here, okay? Robert Stock with the cutter, everybody, that we saw. 32% of the time he threw, right around 91 miles per hour, and at 2,400 on the RPMs. Sinker, 25% of the time, which Stock threw right around 94 miles per hour and 2,200 on the RPMs. Four-seam fastball, 21% of the arsenal, sitting right around 95 and 2,300 on the RPMs. Changeup, 15% of the arsenal, right around 81 miles per hour and 1,600. Sleeper, 6% of the arsenal, right around 80 miles per hour and 2,500. Robert Stock, everybody. My conclusion after seeing Stock pitch well today is if Robert is willing and able to handle a bulk relief role, he might be what Tobias Myers was failing to do so for the New York Mets this year. Myers is still struggling with his velocity significantly that we're seeing in Syracuse, unfortunately. He's really fluctuating this year, but Stock, at the young age of 36 now, looks like he actually might be a nice little mainstay for the Mets to consider. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I think it would be in the Mets' best interest still to either have Stock maybe start for 3 innings and then have Ton come in for 3, or a Santucci in for 3 the next time, turn the order, or vice versa, where you say have someone like Ton or someone like Santucci in there to start and then go on from there. Either way, these are things that I like to see and hope to see for the New York Mets next time Stock is expected to pitch, if they're going to use him as a multi-inning guy at minimum. If it ain't going to be a starter, then as a multi-inning reliever too. Would make sense to team up and set him up with one of the Mets' younger starters that they may call up from now until then. Furthermore, Mets bullpen today. So Stock, again, he gave up no earned runs. He went 4 shutty, essentially, 5 strikeouts. I'm going to give Stock, a 5.5 out of 10 for the outing. I could even go 6 for him. We'll go 6. Going 6 out of 10. I know he didn't go deep in the outing, but again, he was fine. He didn't even allow an earned run. Mets bullpen after the fact was tremendous. From Lavender to Pitaro to Daniel Duarte with a .98 ERA. Daniel Duarte is yet to allow an earned run for the New York Mets beyond like 1 outing, I think, or so. He has 13 games for the New York Mets, 18.1 innings. Daniel Duarte, I'm telling you, he hasn't allowed more than like 1 earned run, like this whole season so far, it feels like. 2 earned runs in 18.1 innings, guys. Daniel Duarte, do you want Daniel Duarte back next season? The answer to that is unequivocally yes. You want Daniel Duarte back next season. Even if this is, a diamond and rough and he ain't going to look good next year, the way that he is right now, let's just see what happens. Duarte looks so effing good. Very good sneaky pickup by the Mets. And this is why I told you guys you have to pay attention to some of these late signings in spring training. Again, you might not think they're important now, but they might be important when you see them eating 30-plus innings for the Mets at some point in the year. And these things inevitably happen. So shout out Daniel Duarte. Mets pitching staff as a whole was tremendous in this outing. They are going to get, without hesitation, Mets pitching staff is going to get a 9 out of 10. Great job by them today, all things considered. Mets offense out hit the Nationals 7-5. They also had 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position, left 7 on base. Ewing 0 for 255 average, 712 OPS. He's still a stud. Lindor 1 for 3 with the home run, 240 with his 769. Bichette 1 for 4 with the RBIs, 262 with his 688. Bo Bichette has 10 RBIs in his past 10 games. And Duarte is kind of like our Rico Garcia, but he's looking better than Rico Garcia did for the Mets, I think. No doubt. Robert, 1 for 4, 216 with a 645. Benj, 1 for 4 with the RBI, 274 with a 747. Love you, Carson. Alvey, 0 for, terrible day. 3 strikeouts, 248 with a 766. Simeon, 1 for 4 with the double, his 10th of the season, 211 with a 626. Jared Young, 1 for 4 with the bomb, 8th of the year, 262 average, 778 OPS. We love that. And last but not least, Terrence, 1 for 2 with the runs scored and the walk, 235 average, 675 OPS. Another drop. Thank you so much for the $5 haul, my guy. I greatly appreciate that. Shout out to Tommy. Hope Tommy is doing tremendous. Let's get this fixed real quick. Awesome. Mets fans, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching tonight. This was a nice little victory by the boys to win 4-1. Talked a bit on the latest news surrounding the club, mainly on guys like Luis Robert, who, as we stated in our video earlier today, but I'll recap it here, is going to be declined of the $20 million club option, and the Mets are going to obviously opt in to buying him out at $2 million. Now, does it mean that Robert will 100% not return next season? No. It just means that if the Mets bring Robert back next season, it's going to be at the rate that they want to pay him and not at that absurd $20 million value that he currently has tied down from his initial contract. So, Mets fans, let me know your thoughts on Robert, Stock, separately. Let me know your thoughts on Stock as well as on Robert. That sounds easier, right? As well as Jared Young, his role in the club, the bullpen, how it's shaping up. Jeffrey Young, hopefully he'll be electric if he's out there tomorrow for the New York Mets. We'll have to wait and see. And ultimately, everything else surrounding the club at the moment, I would love to know your thoughts about in the comments down below. So please make sure to do exactly that. Thank you all so much for watching, Mets fans. Have a fantastic rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. And this is your guy, Wardy, signing out. Make sure to check out our video that we dropped earlier today. And thank you so much in advance for doing exactly that. See you guys again real soon.